Hi, my name is Ben Chamberlain. I'm here on my family's farm, Highland Farms in Wyoming. We're hosting a virtual farm tour on September 27th. We'd love to have you join us. Use the link below to join.
Good morning, students. I am so excited to have you all with us today. We are going to get started. I am so excited. We'll be bringing in Farmer Ben in just a minute, but I want to go over a few things before we jump into our virtual farm tour. First things first, in order to enjoy this tour the best you possibly can, we want you to make it full screen so you can see all the different aspects of the farm. The next thing that I want to make sure that you do is make sure you ask your questions. Now, the way to ask your questions is to actually use our question and answer function. So you'll see that box along your Zoom panel. Now, if you're joining via Facebook, you can ask your questions in the comments section, or if you're joining via YouTube, in that case, we're just going to have you guys hang out and watch our tour. We don't have a ton of options for asking questions on there. But I promise most of your questions are gonna get answered. So those are the first two things. The last thing that we want to make sure that you have your best experience possible is that you use your listening ears, okay? We want you to use your listening ears. So your question might get answered before you even have a chance to ask it. And of course, if you're submitting questions, we do our best to get to as many of them as possible. So sometimes it might take us a minute, but we're going to get there. You just have to use your listening ears. And I'm looking for Farmer Ben right now. So you guys are going to have to give us just 1 second to make sure we can find him to get our tour started. He's really busy this morning. So we've got Farmer Ben. Okay, good morning. We are so excited to have you here today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me out.
You're excited to be here. We
I'm
found
so
you.
excited.
You were busy this morning. So we're going to go ahead, students, and get our tour started. Farmer Ben, the first few things that students are going to want to know is tell us a little bit about the farm, and we'll start seeing some of the footage.
So our farm is located in the town of Wyoming in New York State. I'm the 5th generation farmer here, so I'm the latest in a long line of Chamberlains to be farming on this land.
Okay.
We milk about 900 adult jerseys.
Wait, are we seeing milking right now?
We are.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so students, we're going to start right off with the coolest part, or one of the coolest parts of the farm, the milking process. So Ben, tell us, what is this? What are we looking at right now?
So right now we are watching my friend George start milking some cows. We milk 20 cows at a time, 10 on each side. And he's making sure that we are producing the cleanest, healthiest milk that he possibly can.
Oh, okay, very cool. So I'm assuming the cows are coming in, they're walking in. Oh, look, we see one of the cows right there. She's heading in. Now, Ben, I'm sure some of our students are going to want to know, do the cows find this comfortable? Is this nice for them? Do they enjoy this?
They do. They race to get to the parlor. It's a really fun time for them. It also only takes 7 to 10 minutes. So it's not a big part of their day.
Oh,
so, but they do look forward to the excitement of doing a fun thing a
oh,
times a day.
7 to 10 minutes?
Yes. And the rest of the time they're free to do whatever cows do.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, that's pretty easy. Now, 7 to 10 minutes, is that 1 time a day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day? How many times a day?
For our farm, we milk twice a day.
Twice a day. Okay. 2 times a day, students, is how many times the cows are milked. Now, Ben, we're seeing some really cool foamy stuff here go on. What is that?
So we use this iodine-based dip to make sure that we are producing a very clean product. So we're cleaning the cows off first.
Okay, that's fair. I'm sure, I sometimes get dirty and need to wash my hands, maybe that kind of stuff. So is this kind of like soap or like hand sanitizer?
Yes, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same process. It's like soaping up your hands before you wash them and rinse them off.
Okay, got it. This makes a lot more sense. Now he's doing each of those cows in a row. And then now we see all kinds of really cool big equipment here. Now, Ben, we're all learning together here. You don't milk your cows with your hands? You have machines for that?
We do. It's all automated.
Okay.
The process is hands off once we start actually milking the cow. which you're going to see in just a second.
Oh, okay. So it looks like he's getting it all cleaned up and prepped up here to be able to put that machine on. Now, when it looks like he actually milks a little bit by hand. Why would he do that before you put the machine on?
He wants to make sure that the milk that he's getting is fresh and that there are no contaminants on the
Okay. Okay, got it. So basically checking to make sure, all right, she's healthy, this milk is good, we're going to keep putting it into the tank. Now, question, I know some students and teachers may be asking, because we hear lots of stuff out in the world and on the internet. What about antibiotics? So are there antibiotics in the milk? Are the cows taking those? What happens with that?
No, there are no antibiotics in our milk, and every load of milk that we sell is tested for antibiotics and has to pass that test, with no exceptions. So if we have a cow that, may need an antibiotic because she's not feeling well,
Okay.
her milk is removed from the entire system. She's milked in a different area until she can individually pass that zero antibiotic test.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so absolutely nothing in there. And that is exactly what he was looking for, right? Like, oh, maybe she's not feeling her best. Maybe she's got something going on. We see him putting the machines on now. Okay, those machines, what do they feel like? How do they even stay on?
So it's kind of similar to the vacuum cleaner in your house. It's got a little bit of vacuum, and then it simulates the natural pulsation that a cow might feel if she were being nursed on by a calf.
Oh, okay, got it. So it's that suckling motion that kind of lets the milk down and flows through. Now, once all those machines are attached, how does it know, like for example, when she's done or how much pressure to put on?
So you can't really see it in these pictures, but there is actually a flow meter that measures the volume of milk coming out. And when it slows down and she's getting to be out of milk, it will automatically take that unit off to avoid over milking or wasting the cow's time.
Okay, we had a question from a student. They want to know, does it tickle?
Maybe a little bit, but
Maybe a little bit.
None of the cows hate it. They all enjoy the process.
They all love it. Okay, that makes sense. Now, we looked at the parlor before, and I didn't even ask Ben, how many cows can you milk at one time? How many milking machines are in there?
We have 20 milking machines. So we're doing groups of 10. There's 2 sides in the parlor, and each side is independently doing their own thing.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now, and you had told us, remind our students again, how many cows total need to be milked every day?
900 twice a day.
900 students twice a day. I bet you can use your math and figure out that even if there's only 900 cows, if we have to do it 2 times, how many times are they milking cows during the day? It's a lot, but I think you can figure it out. So we're seeing these cows come right in, and I just thought they're walking in there quickly, like they're excited to be there. They enjoy this process. Okay, very cool. Now, we just saw one take off. So it automatically sensed it when to come off.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a lot of really cool technology. Oh my gosh. I think we're going to see another one come off, students. So I'm sure students, you guys see a lot of technology maybe in your classrooms or at home, but I didn't realize farmers are using so much technology. That's pretty cool. And I think we've seen too, maybe some meters. So how do you know how much milk each cow makes?
So we have an older milking facility, and we use glass weigh jars. The big jars you can see where the milk comes in. They've got numbers on them to tell us, how much milk that cow made.
Got it. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And our students had a good question. They were asking, are all these cows girl cows?
They are all girl cows. We have no boy cows on the farm at all.
Gotcha. Okay. So a reminder, students, for everybody, in order to produce milk, Ben, and correct me if I'm wrong, a cow has to have a calf or a baby, correct?
Exactly. That's
okay.
Right.
So we know that all these cows that are being milked, they are girls. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. What happens after the milking machines come off? What happens next then for these cows?
So you saw the cows being, we call it pre-dipped with that foamy soapy stuff. We use another product kind of like that to help, clean their udders, clean their teats, and make sure that they are well protected to go out in the barn and run around for the next 12 hours.
Got it. Okay. And then they're heading back off to their day. Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. Now, Ben, it looks like your cows are really curious watching us and kind of what we're up to here. Are they usually very curious and interactive with everybody in the parlor?
They are. So today was a special day. We've got some different people in the parlor with cameras and things that are definitely entertaining the cows. But our jerseys are the breed, the type of cattle we have, the brown cows, are extra curious every day.
Oh, okay. So that Jersey breed itself is extra curious even. So that's a good thing to remember, students, kind of a fun fact and a cool fact of that. Now, Ben, we saw a bunch of milk. How much milk per cow per day?
So again, we were just talking about jerseys. So
Okay.
jerseys are a little bit smaller than the normal black and white cows you see, the Holsteins. So we make about 65 pounds of milk per cow per day.
Okay, students, if you can do your math, remember 65 pounds per day times Ben told us 900 cows. That's some big math. Wow, that's a big tank. Is that where you're holding all the milk?
It is. That's one of our two bulk tanks.
Okay, and how much milk does that hold?
That bulk tank holds 7,000 gallons.
7,000 gallons, students. So you can think about the gallon that goes in your fridge, but then 7,000 of those. Okay, that's a lot of gallons of milk. Now, Ben, where does that milk go after it leaves your farm?
So again, with jerseys, we make a little bit less milk, but the milk is high in butter, fat, and protein. So our milk goes to the Sorrento plant in Buffalo, New York, to make
Okay.
cheese products.
Okay, so your milk goes to make cheese. So students, if you have like maybe string cheese or cheese on your pizza, or even just a cheese with crackers, that sort of stuff, that's where you might find Farmer Ben's milk. Okay, Ben, we gave those students a lot of information. And I do have one more question that came up before we jump. How long does it take the milk to get from your farm maybe to like a grocery store? Do we know about how long?
Yeah, so with cheese, it's obviously a little bit longer than
Okay.
with fluid milk.
Okay.
So it's anywhere from a few days to a few weeks before you would see that in the grocery store.
Gotcha, gotcha. I heard too, though, for fluid milk students, it's only 48 hours
Yes,
usually.
it's
It's
very
really quick. Okay. Well, students, I think you're ready for your first quiz. So remember, turn your thinking brains on, test your knowledge. And when you come back, Ben and I are going to be on our next part of the farm. So we'll see you soon. Okay, students, I hope that you got all those answers correct. So we know cows are usually making around 10 gallons. Farmer Ben did share his cows are a little different. They're a little bit special or unique. Milk goes from the farm to the grocery store in 48 hours. And I think, Ben, we didn't even maybe cover that milk is cooled to 35 degrees, but that's pretty wonderful. Why does it cool down so much?
So we like to have the milk be as cold as it is in your refrigerator at home, as quickly as possible. And
Okay.
that lets us have the freshest product possible.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. That makes sense. And then, of course, we did definitely cover that it only takes 5 minutes to be able to milk your cows.
Right.
Got it. Okay. we're gonna probably jump into our next section here. Now, students, we are seeing all kinds of cool footage. Farmer Ben had to just jump away here, but I still have him on audio. So we're going to keep going. Ben, these cows are pretty darn cute, but we had some students asking questions. How big are these cows?
So the cows you're seeing right now are actually heifers. They haven't had a calf yet, and they weigh about 800 pounds.
Okay.
The adult cows, so again, they're Jerseys, are a little bit smaller. They weigh between 1,000 and 1,100 pounds.
1,000 pounds, students, 1,000 pounds. That's so big. Okay, so now we're seeing these cows are eating food, and I'm seeing that they have some really cool jewelry going on.
Yes.
What's this jewelry these cows are wearing?
So the yellow tags that you see in their ears let us know who that animal is. Each got an individual number so that we can keep track of their health and everything that they're doing. The blue tag that you see actually is an activity monitor. So that measures all kinds of things that they do throughout the day. How many steps they take, how much time they're spending laying down and chewing and eating and walking around.
Okay.
And that helps us make extra health decisions for them. So that blue tag can actually determine if a cow is sick, you know, everything about what they're doing for the day, much faster than a person can even tell. So when you see a cow just laying down a little bit more during the day, it raises a flag for me that, hey, maybe I need to go check her out and see what's going on.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's so smart and so much technology being used. Now, how old are these girls that we're seeing?
These guys you see right here, girls you see right here, are about 22, 23 months old, a little bit younger than 2 years.
Okay, and then when does a cow actually have her first calf?
These girls are pretty close to having their first calf, so
Okay.
we shoot for a little bit under 2 years old.
Gotcha. And now we're seeing some cool features of the barn. So some students are asking too, your cows are in the barn right now, and we're seeing it's very nice and open, lots of airflow. Do they ever go out of the barn?
Sometimes they do. We have pastures that some of the cows can get out on when the weather's nice, but we are near Buffalo, New York, so 6 months out of the year, it wouldn't be great for them. That's why our barns have these curtains that you can see that open and close so that we can really control, you know, in the wintertime, you don't want to be outside as much, so we can really control what the temperature is and how warm it is in the barn for them.
Well, and this looks really nice. It looks like each cow has her own bed.
They do.
Okay, and what's on those beds? I mean, I know it's on my bed, fluffy sheets, but what's on these beds?
So we use both mattresses underneath and then sawdust on top, so they've got a nice comfy place to lay down.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. And now every cow gets her own bed or pretty close to?
They do, and they don't use the same one, but there's a space for everyone every day.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's really, really cool. Now, how long are cows supposed to be sleeping? I mean, I want to sleep 8 to 12 hours a night. I mean, 12 would be wonderful, but how long do cows lay down, rest, sleep every day?
So cows do a couple main things. They eat, they sleep, they go to the parlor, and they kind of have playtime.
Okay.
So we like to see our cows laying down at least 12 hours.
Oh my gosh, 12 hours, if not maybe even more, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that sounds kind of delightful. I can't lie. And now we see all the different cows interacting with each other. Do they enjoy that? Do they have social bonds? Are they in groups?
They do. And we
Okay.
noticed that even when they get into bigger groups, animals that were calves together tend to stick together, and they can actually find each other in other groups.
Yeah. Wow, that's really, really cool. And we've seen too, obviously all the the fans and curtains that come up. So are your barns kind of trying to keep it cool in the summer, warm in the winter?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What's a cow's like favorite temperature? I mean, I like 75.
So cows like a little bit cooler. They're bigger and they've got a nice coat of fur on. So they like somewhere in the 50s usually, if we can.
Ooh, students, that's kind of chilly. I think they'd want a coat. I don't know. Okay. And of course, I know now we're seeing definitely, I've forgotten one of the biggest parts. I mean, if the cows are eating a lot of food, they're probably producing a lot of poop.
Yeah.
So what happens to that? What are we doing with that?
So every time the cows go to the parlor, I've got some more guys that help me out that clean the barns. They redo these stalls. They scrape all the manure out of the way and into a storage pit. So when they come back from the parlor, they've got new feed, they've got new bedding, and the alleys are totally clean.
Oh my gosh. So basically full service, kind of like a hotel, right? They leave and then the room gets cleaned and it's all, wow.
We try to do that when they're not around.
That's fair. Okay, so you mentioned that they come back and they eat, and that's a big part of their day. And now we're seeing where that feed comes from. What are we looking at here?
So right now you can see my guy CJ is loading a batch of feed. All of the feed that you can see right there is actually corn. We call this a bunker silo. So the
Okay.
corn is, we harvest the corn in the fall. We're actually doing it right now.
Ooh.
And it's stored in these bunks where it's allowed to ferment so that it's kind of like pickles. It can keep a lot longer than fresh corn.
Very cool. Okay, yes, because students, we know nothing grows in the middle of winter, right? Everything's snow and frozen. So this is how you feed your cows all throughout the year.
Right.
Okay, what else are these cows getting to eat in this diet? Because we're watching him. It looks like he's gonna go take it over to that big. Oh my gosh, is that a big blender?
It is. We call it a feed mixer.
Oh, okay. So students, you can see the different parts spinning. So what else is going into our lovely cow smoothie casserole?
So we've got the normal things that you would normally think about, corn and hay. And then we also we do a bunch of different kinds of grain. There's some soybeans that go in there.
Okay.
And then a special protein mix that's made at a blending plant to make sure that they're getting the optimal recipe every day.
Okay, so basically they're getting everything they need on their plate. Protein, vegetables, minerals, all the good stuff. Now, Ben, why are we blending it all together? I mean, I don't blend all my food together, unless of course it is a smoothie, but they have it that way every day.
They do. They do. We try to keep them getting the optimal ration, and that can change based on, what time, what part of the lactation the cow is in.
Okay.
But we try to make sure that every group is getting just the absolute best ration
So
every day.
what if a cow really likes only the sweet things? Can she just pick out the good stuff?
No, that's the reason we've got the blender. So everybody has to, like you said, eat their vegetables. Everything is mixed together. We want every bite to be a complete balanced diet.
Got it. Okay. So basically there's no way getting around to just the candy.
Right.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Now, I'm also looking at this blender. This thing is huge. How much food is each cow eating every day?
So our cows eat about 96 pounds of feed per day.
96 pounds. Okay. So what about, you told us your cows are special and little. What about some of the bigger cows out there? What might they eat for pounds?
So Holsteins, and I'm not a Holstein farmer, so I'm kind of putting these guesses together here, but Holsteins can eat anywhere from 130 to 150 pounds a day.
Yeah. Okay. So they eat more feed. So much feed. Now, Ben, you had mentioned before, you actually shared with us, you have a lot of friends and team members helping you out at the farm. How many people work at the farm?
We have about 18 people working at the farm.
18 all the time. Okay, students. So even if we think of as careers, there's a lot of different jobs just on a farm, right, Ben?
Right.
Some of them are working with cows, maybe, or some of them are just working with equipment and you don't work with cows at all. This is very different. Okay. Now, Ben, all this food, are you buying all that in? Where is there like a cow grocery store?
So some of the things we buy, like the special protein mix that I was telling you about, but all of the things that you see CJ loading right now are crops that we've grown ourselves. You can see the fields here. These are some of our fields that we grow all of our own hay and corn and wheat, things like that. We grow all of that ourselves.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you had to pick a percentage of all the food the cows eat, how much comes from the land that you guys grow?
By weight, probably 75% of it comes from
75% of it. So students, I'm sure you've heard about eating local, right? We talk about that sometimes. Cows get to eat local. Most of their food comes from right down the road. That's pretty cool. I think at least it's pretty cool. We did have a couple student questions, so Ben will take just a minute to answer those while we're seeing some of the lovely footage here of the farm. One of the students had asked about the ear tags and actually if those hurt at all.
It would be kind of similar to getting a piercing in your own ear. So it might tickle for a little bit, but they get the tags when they're babies.
Okay.
And they keep the same tag throughout their life. So it's not something that we're redoing. So it might tickle for a few minutes, but it's not anything that hurts them.
Got it. Got it. And so we did share students too. Cows will have their first calf when they're 24 months old, 22 years old. Now, we did have a student ask, is there someone to help for that process? Do you have a staff person who just helps with that?
Yes. 24 hours a day, there's someone checking on those girls that are about to have their calf to make sure.
Wow.
If you were a person in a hospital, there's somebody there all the time checking on you.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. Now, students, you've asked some great questions. A lot of the questions you've asked are coming up in our next section, which I'm going to tell you has the cutest members of the farm. So you guys are going to take a quick quiz, and then we're going to come back and be at the calf barn. Okay, students. I bet you got all of those answers correct. I know, and I'm seeing too, we had a super sneaky quiz question on there, which was how many chambers are in a cow's stomach? We got so busy talking about the feed bin. We didn't even talk about their stomachs.
That's right.
So maybe some of you students knew though that the cows have 4 chambers in their stomachs. And Ben, tell the students, why do they have that?
So the 4 chambers of their stomachs all have different jobs to do. So they're eating so much food that they need to separate the food out and have different processes happen in each one of those stomachs at once.
Got it. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, students, it's time. We're headed off to the calves. Let's go. Wow, this is a beautiful part of the farm. Okay, so we had a question come in while we were doing our quiz. How long is the gestation period of a cow? So how long does she carry that calf?
So a cow's gestation period is almost identical to humans, so it's about 9 months.
Well, very cool. So we're kind of like cows in some ways. Now we're seeing this big, beautiful calf barn. I'm so excited. How many calves are on the farm?
We have about 700 calves on the farm right now.
700. Okay, so what is the age range for those animals?
So I guess they wouldn't all necessarily be calves, but that's any animal that is not old enough to make milk yet. So they're from 1 minute old up until 2 years old.
Okay, let's teach our students some of the words then. So what would a calf be? What would a farmer consider a calf?
So a farmer would usually consider a calf anything younger than 10 or 11 months old.
Okay, and then what happens when they turn 10 or 11 months till they become a cow?
We call those animals heifers, so they're kind of in between.
Heifers. Okay, got it. So like teenagers.
Right, exactly.
Teenagers. Okay, cool. Now, so these calves we're seeing now look pretty darn adorable, but some of our students want to know, how big are these calves? If our adult cows are that big, how big are the babies?
So when a Jersey's born, they can be anywhere from 30 to 60 pounds, and that's a little bit smaller than a Holstein. A Holstein calf is usually 70 to up to 100 pounds when they're born.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Now we're asking, if the cows are eating around 90 pounds of feed, what are the calves eating?
That varies. So when our calves are born, they're just drinking milk, and they're drinking about 6 to 8 pints of milk per day, depending on their age. And then they start eating pellets and grain. And then when they get a little bit bigger, they eat what you're seeing now, which is, we call it TMR, which is total mixed ration. It's similar to the silage that the cows get, but it's got some more hay in it.
Oh, okay. So just slightly different. So maybe for their growing bodies, they're getting a little different mix.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now we're actually having some students ask, maybe even cows too, how much water do these ladies need to drink a day? Or maybe like how much water does a cow drink in a day?
The calves drink a few gallons per day, but once they start making milk, they obviously need a lot more water. So we're talking 40 or 50 gallons a day per cow.
40 or 50 gallons. Wow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, but they got to stay hydrated. It's very, very important. So the other questions that we had coming in about these calves. Does every calf here have a name? We talked about number, students, if you remember back. We talked about each cow has a number, but do they have a name?
They actually do. Every calf, every cow on our farm is what we call registered. So,
Okay.
you know, like with a dog or something like that, there's purebred breeds, and you might have a dog that's registered. All of our calves are registered and they've got their very own name. I don't know them all, but they do have a special name.
Got it. Now, how quickly do these calves grow? Because I'm envisioning we have obviously a pretty big calf, and then you're feeding them all this food every day, and then they end up being pretty big pretty quick. So about how many pounds are they growing maybe per day?
So if we're starting with a 50-pound calf at birth, and we've got 2 years to get her to 1,000 pounds, we're talking about several pounds of growth every single day.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So probably maybe at least 2, right? We're talking like 2 pounds. Oh, okay. Students, can you imagine 2 pounds every single day? These calves are getting bigger, healthier, stronger. Now, another question that we had. So you mentioned a cow has to have a calf in order to produce milk.
Right.
So all of your cows that you have are having a calf.
Right.
Sometimes they must have boy calves, but you told us there are no boy cows on the farm. Where did the boy calves go?
So we use technology on our farm to make sure that all of the Jersey calves that are born are girls. The boy calves that are born, the boy calves that are born, we have a grower that takes them and raises them up as beef animals.
Oh, okay. So basically, students, they get a career change, right? They don't stay. They're not meant to be milked. That's not an option for them. So they actually go to a different farm to serve a different purpose.
Right.
Okay, got it. Now this technology helps you only have girl calves because that, or mostly I would say, have girl calves because that's what you need on the farm, right, to produce milk.
Right.
Okay, very cool. Very interesting, and lots of technology going on. Wow, these girls look like they're really enjoying breakfast right now. I hope,
big part of their day.
yes, I hope you students enjoyed a good breakfast with some dairy products today too. We did have a question come in as well from our students, which was, why does your farm have jerseys?
So the short answer is we've always had jerseys. The long answer is we like the jerseys because of that high fat, high protein milk. We find that it's very efficient for us to produce milk that's specially blended and made to make things like cheese.
Oh, okay. So it's really for their particular breed qualities and the milk that they're producing.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. We actually had a couple more students come in. One of the students was very observant and was asking, our calves have yellow tags, but they don't have those blue tags that we saw in the cows. Right. When did they get their blue tag?
So the yellow tags they get at birth. The blue tags they get when they're about 9 months old, when we're starting to worry about how their health is doing and make sure that they're as healthy as possibly can be.
Right.
There's no need for us to monitor a lot of those things, like how many steps they're taking when they're babies.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. But you would be maybe weighing them to double check that they're growing sometimes?
Definitely.
Oh, okay. So just like students, when you go to the doctor and you get checked out that way. Okay. We are seeing the littlest calves now. I think we've moved over to that part of the farm. So these would be, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, these are the calves that are drinking milk still.
That's right.
Okay. Got it. Now, how many times a day do they get that milk?
They get that milk 3 times a day, and the youngest calves are also getting several feedings a day of we call it Gatorade. So it's a special electrolyte blend. It's colored. It even smells and tastes kind of like Gatorade, just to make sure that they are as hydrated as we can possibly get them all day long.
Wow. Okay. So they're getting definitely milk to make sure they've got all the nutrients. They've got some electrolytes and hydration, and it looks like they've even got some pellet snacks.
They do.
Okay, okay. And we're seeing one of your other very key managers on the farm. And it looks like she's getting ready to make up some milk for these gals. So why don't you tell us what she's doing?
So right now she's getting a bottle ready or several bottles ready for our youngest, our absolute youngest calf. So
Okay.
they still drink out of a bottle just like a human baby would
Okay.
until they're a few weeks old and they are more able to know what milk is and how to eat it, and then they start drinking out of a bucket.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. So now, did that milk come from cows in the parlor, or do you make that more like maybe formula?
No, this milk all came from cows in the parlor.
Oh,
So we
okay.
saved the milk from, we call them fresh cows, the cows that just had calves. We saved that special milk, and we actually have two pasteurizers on the farm. So our milk is pasteurized just like it would be for you in the grocery store.
Right. Okay, so for our students, can you tell them quick, what is pasteurization?
So pasteurization is a way of sterilizing the milk, making sure that there's no bacteria, no contaminants, anything like that.
Okay, so we just basically heat it up and then cool it back down.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, cool. So these big bottles, how much is in each of those bottles?
Those are 4-pint bottles, and we fill them full. So they actually have a little bit more than 4 pints. And again, the calves drink them 3 times a day.
Okay. So remember that, students, those 4 pints 3 times a day. Now, why, when calves are born, Ben, I think I've heard this, that calves don't have an immune system.
Right.
What does that mean for our calves?
So calves have to get they have what's called passive immunity. So they have to get all their immunity from these colostrum bottles that she's getting ready right now.
Oh, okay. So that colostrum is that first milk that has the special antibodies that help that calf grow their immune system.
Exactly.
So students, you might have gone back to school and a lot of people maybe got the flu or a cold or whatnot, right? But you have an immune system to help you defend against that.
Right.
And then these calves, we're helping build that immune system by getting them that colostrum. Okay, got it. So we do have some students, of course, who want to know, we see these calves in individual pens as opposed to the other ones that were in a group. Why are these littlest ones in the individual pens?
So it's for their health and safety. If you put a bunch of human babies together in a group, they might pile up on top of each other, or they might get competitive and one of them might eat too much.
Oh,
so we're doing the same thing here. I'm making sure that every calf gets their own food. They're able to eat in their own time. They're not rushed, and there's no bullies in the group that are taking extra.
Got it. And we're seeing too some really nice fluffy bedding there, because I can imagine, Ben, it's cold in the winter. I mean, I would need a coat. Do these calves get some coats?
They do. We have 120 calves in 2 barns that are just like the one you're looking at right now, and they all get a jacket in the wintertime.
Oh, okay. I mean, obviously, it's still very nice out. I'm sure for most of our students, no matter where you're joining from, the weather's still pretty warm. Wow, she looks like that tastes pretty darn delicious.
She's very excited. Yes.
Okay, that's totally fair. Now, another question that we had was, we see these calves are quite little, but they aren't with maybe their cow or their mom. So they've moved into a different separate pen. Why do you guys choose to do that?
So we have to separate them just because accidents happen.
Okay.
You got a big 1,000-pound cow who might not mean to, but you could have an issue. It's for the health and the safety of those calves.
That makes a lot of sense, especially since we just talked about, students, when calves are born, they don't have an immune system. And what if that cow rather has a cold, has something that they might share? We don't want that, of course. So that makes a lot of sense. And these calves still look very content and comfortable running around eating. They can still see each other. And students, you may know too, maybe when you're able to touch different surfaces, we can spread germs. So maybe having them separated helps prevent that.
It sure does.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, what is in that little pelleted feed that we saw earlier too? I know we saw some of that, the grain maybe that those calves are getting. Is that different than what the other cows are getting?
It is. So our calves, when they're born, get a pelleted grain, and it's a mix of corn and wheat and soybeans, all kinds of high protein things to help them get the best start that they can get and get them growing quickly.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. It looks like your daughter is maybe helping out there, helping do some feeding.
That's my
Got
daughter,
it.
Vivian.
Gotcha. Okay. So further proof, students, you can start helping out at the farm at almost any age. Now, we did have a question come in, actually. So we were mentioning maybe how we prevent cows and calves from maybe getting sick, getting a cold. What happens if they do get sick or get a cold?
So we have a special group. We call it our hospital group, and we try to keep as few cows in there as possible. But if a cow does get sick with a cold or any kind of other issue, They go into that special group where they've got extra space to lay down. They
Okay.
don't have the individual beds like you saw. They've got a big bed and pack area,
Okay.
really good airflow, and a lot of people walk through there every day.
Okay. Same thing with calves too, right? Even if a calf's not feeling well, she gets special treatment, gets separated. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, very cool. Students, we have learned a lot. It's time for you to take one more quiz, and then we're going to be back with Farmer Ben to answer your last few questions before we send you off on your day. Okay, students, I'm sure that you got all of those correct. I'm pretty sure you did a great job. Now, we had gone over these, the calves, most calves are about 80 pounds. Ben mentioned his sometimes are a little smaller. A calf is fully grown at 24 months old. Calves will drink 8 quarts. Now, Ben told us that in pints, so I hope you guys use your best math. And then, of course, calves will grow up to 2 pounds per day. So here's the thing, students. Before we let Ben go, we do want to ask the last bit of your questions that came up during the tour, which I saw you all out there. One of those questions was, what are all the tires for on our cow feed? Ben, lay it on us.
So the tires are basically for weight. They keep that plastic on top of the feed to keep the weather off it, keep the rain and the snow out, keep it nice and clean. And we use tires instead of other products like a sandbag because we like to recycle. And so those tires might live on your car for a year or two, and we can use them for decades on the bunk without having to spend any money or have any new plastic pieces. So we give them a second life, and it's a very long second life on top of our bunks.
Okay, students, so it's basically a form of recycling. That's pretty cool. And I can imagine as a farmer, when you're driving lots of equipment or cars or other things for the farm, even you recycle your own tires, maybe plus some additional ones. Very cool. So that is what the tires are doing on top of all the feed. They're holding down that piece of plastic, sealing all the good nutrients in.
Right.
And then, of course, as Ben mentioned, they use them year after year. Okay, Ben, I have one more question before we head off. We want our students to enjoy dairy in their day to day, but what is your favorite dairy product to enjoy?
My favorite dairy product is Greek yogurt. I start my day out every day with yogurt.
Okay, quality choice, students. I'm sure you could probably find some yogurt today, or cheese, or whatever you feel best about. It is just the last little bit of warm bits of summer, so maybe even some ice cream.
Could be.
If you come across that. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to remind you we have one more tour today with Farmer Ben at 11:15, and then we also have 5 more tours coming up. One of those tours is completely in Spanish for our bilingual individuals. So be sure to check out our other tours. And of course, these are friends of Ben. They're other farmers in our region, but they are a completely different farm. And Ben, I bet you can share with the students. Every farm is different.
They are.
They are. So it'd be a totally different experience. So feel free to join another tour or access any of our free dairy lesson plans, but we will catch you all next time and we hope you find a way to enjoy dairy today.